You're listening to Be Health Connected, a podcast by the Gateway Business Health Coalition. Your host for today's episode is Kaylee Delaschmidt, BHC Manager of Wellbeing Strategy and Member Services.
Hello, and welcome to the BHC's Be Health Connected podcast. I'm Kaylee Delaschmidt, Director of Wellbeing Strategy and Member Services. And today I'm very excited to be joined by Candace Rodman, Executive Director with MOCAN. MOCAN stands for the Missouri Council for Activity and Nutrition. And I will not even attempt to steal your thunder, Candace. Why don't we just jump right into it and start off with you telling us about yourself and about MOCAN?
Yeah, thanks for having me, by the way. This is exciting. I love doing this. I've been the executive director of MOCAN for, I guess, 4 or 5 years now. And it's such a wonderful organization for several reasons. One is when you're a part of a bunch of professional organizations, generally it costs a lot of money. I pay hundreds of dollars every year as my role in academics to be a part of orgs, but MOCAN is free and for life is what we say. And so we invite everybody. We have people from physicians to wellness coordinators at schools to principals and nurses and all sorts, right? And what we do is we gather, we have different work groups, 7 work groups, and people come based on their specialty area or just interest area. And they work within that work group on different types of policies, systems, or environmental changes in that sector of health. And it's been going on since, for the last 20 years. Used to be a part of the SNAP Ed requirement for the state of Missouri. But now MU Extension has kind of taken it on as just a successful organization that they don't want to lose. Now that it's not a requirement, we still are able to support it through MU Extension and through my role as executive director to make sure that the 600 something members of MOCAN are still able to connect with each other from all over the state and try and make these really sustainable, long-lasting changes around Missouri.
That's really helpful. And you mentioned 600 organizations. Help us understand. I mean, I have a sense of the different kinds of groups that participate. BHC has been a longstanding partner of MOCAN, but who are some of the other groups that might be interested in MOCAN or that participate?
Yeah, so we've had long-standing relationships with state departments, so the Department of Health and Senior Services. We've partnered with the Department of Revenue to kind of give us and help us disseminate information. We have national councils that have joined us, National Council on Aging. We have a grant through them that runs through MOCAN. But we have a lot of, which I love, Missouri is a very rural state, and this gives opportunities for places like rural health departments to be able to join in and talk about the state health landscape from their small town, right? Because it matters. Everything at the state trickles down, right? So we've got health departments, we've got school districts that are in very rural counties of Missouri. We've got physicians that work in some of our bigger cities like Kansas City, St. Louis, but also in the rural areas like Cape Girardeau that come in because we all need healthcare, right? And if we can impact that landscape, it's going to come to the rural areas as well. So we've got hospital directors and we have a lot of teachers that come into our schools work group because they're interested in school health, which is a huge thing, not only for the employers, but the students. We've got a lot of academics that come in and will find grants to do research on some of the projects that we're doing. And funding is always key for making projects really happen and flourish. And so a lot of these researchers will come in and design a project that we can research and evaluate, and then therefore use that to influence and impact some sort of policy at the state level. So there's all sorts, and we welcome everybody, even students. I teach on campus at MU, and so I always invite my students to be a part of MOCAN. We've gotten tons of interns that way, but it's also what I tell them is it's a nice low stakes environment to be part of leadership, to network with other people from around the state. If you don't plan on staying in Columbia necessarily when you graduate, hey, you've met a ton of people all around the state in a virtual way. And so you can always go back to them and say, hey, I remember you from the Worksite Wellness Work Group. Could I intern with you? Do you have a job available? And so it's a great way for students to be involved. If they want to be a co-chair, that's great leadership experience as well. And it's no cost, which is really important for students.
And it's just such a diverse group of people, right? You shared information about some of the kinds of groups that participate, but really I think about MOCAN as like a key convener in Missouri in a lot of ways, similar to BHC.
Yeah.
Did you share what the different work groups are?
Hmm. Yeah. So we have worksite wellness, we have healthy aging and fall prevention, we have healthcare, we have childcare, we have schools, we have food systems and physical activity. That's the last one,
Yep.
and physical activity. And so, regardless of necessarily maybe your job, you may have like just a special interest area. Especially our students, they have no idea what they want to do with their lives sometimes, so they'll join different groups so they can get a feel for it. Or we have a lot of retired folks that just have interest in childcare and making sure that that stays well rounded in a rural area. So things like that. You can just join just because you enjoy it, not necessarily because your job requires it, which I enjoy.
And the workplace wellness work group
Mhm.
is obviously near and dear to my heart. It's near and dear to BHC's heart because
Yes.
that's where employers engage with MOCAN and talk about
Yeah.
their role in fostering, a healthy, supportive work environment that ultimately results in healthy, happy, productive employees. So, I know what I would answer to this question, but why do you think workplace wellness is such an important part of MOCAN's strategy to improve health across Missouri?
Yeah. So everybody has a job. I mean, that's the simplest answer, right? Everybody works unless you are lucky enough to still be a kid that enjoys life job free or living that retirement life. And sometimes even then you still are engaged in work. It's something that connects everybody in Missouri, right? And it's so important because we honestly spend most of our lives at our job, right? At the minimum 40 hours a week in general. And so making sure that that huge part of your life can contribute to your wellness and well-being is a game changer for a lot of people's overall life well-being, right? I think if you're not happy at work, that bleeds into your personal life as well. We talk about occupational balance, or sometimes people call it work-life balance. You have to be able to balance the positives in both your personal and work life. Otherwise, they're going to bleed into each other. And then it can be miserable, it can be hard, it can make your life really tough. So, workplace wellness is huge, and employers think are finally starting to catch on that that matters a lot. And keeping people happy and healthy benefits them as well.
Absolutely. And just to say simply and like promote anyone at an employer that is charged with developing well-being programming or supporting the health and wellness of employees at an organization would have a
Mhm.
spot on this committee if they were interested and wanted to attend the meetings, if for no other reason just to be off a fly on the wall and hear and learn from others.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think even if you don't have a formal wellness coordinator or position at a work site, it's good for employers to come and really show that it's meaningful for them at their workplace. Even if you're such a small organization or you're a huge corporation and you don't necessarily have a designated coordinator, these meetings are the best place to just hear brainstorming things, to get ideas, small things, big policy changes, or tiny things that you can do to support your employees. If you're an employee that may feel like, man, my workplace could be so much better, and I want to help do that because I don't want to leave and I want to be happy and healthy and encourage my peers to do so, you could join the Worksite Wellness Work Group and get ideas, brainstorm with other people who are thinking the exact same thing as you.
Absolutely. And one thing that I think is important to add is MOCAN is actually a point of entry for a lot of partners looking to help employers with
Yes.
specific health and well-being programming resources. And we'll talk about a couple of those, but
Mhm.
obviously it's a good place to go learn and connect with your peers. But also, a lot of the times, MOCAN work groups get kind of like a first dibs at some opportunities in the Missouri public health sector or realm. So, thank you
Mhm.
for sharing all of that background information to kind of get us started.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that MOCAN emphasizes is evidence based workplace wellness.
Mhm.
Talk about what that means, why it matters, and how you see it taking shape in the future with employers.
Yeah. So I come from academics. I'm a professor on campus, and I teach the difference between research-based and evidence-based. So research-based means it has happened in a lab and it was successful in a lab in this ideal perfect situation. That is research-based. That's what we publish all the time, right? This thing worked. Evidence-based means it worked in real life and it had a practical impact on someone's actual life outside of a lab. So when we talk about evidence, we not only bring the research to the table, but we talk to the people that it affects. So it involves people's opinions, how it impacted their lives, all that qualitative data that we sometimes skip that doesn't always happen in a lab setting. And we hear from employers and employees like, that's good in theory, but reality, it's not really gonna work for at least this place, right? So that's what evidence-based means is we've talked not only through the research in the lab and the theories that go along with it, but then we've talked to people and tested it with them and gotten their feedback and then adjusted whatever that practice is so it does work in a real world practical setting, and that is extremely important. And I think researchers are finally starting to understand, yeah, lab work is great. It works in an ideal setting though. So
Right.
evidence-based matters.
It's just the precursor, right? And it's such an
Absolutely.
important distinction, like
Yes.
research-based, evidence-based, because there have been a lot of really strong evidence-based programming to come
Mhm.
out of public sector work. One in particular that comes to mind that MOCAN helps facilitate in the Missouri workforce is the Work at Health training.
Yes.
That's an evidence-based program out of CDC that
Mhm.
has proven in evidence, in practice, outside
Yep.
of a lab, that it is successful in helping to achieve healthier outcomes for employees.
Yes.
And so part of MOCAN's role is to make sure that Missouri employers know that these training opportunities are available.
We have a huge network, right? We can help disseminate tons of information through all those organizations that we partner with, right? So we have a big reach, and sometimes that's all it needs. You don't know what you don't know. And so our reach can help people learn about work at health existing, right? And so ideally, we can bring as many people to that as we can. It benefits everybody involved, it benefits work at health and MOCAN because we're all working together for the same goal, right?
Exactly. Yep. And the work at health training itself, just to add some additional context, is a several module training that helps employers that have that investment in making sure their employees are healthy understand the business case for a well-being program. It helps them develop the program, tells them about the importance of leadership support. It goes over evaluation methods, it goes over program management, continuous evaluation, sustaining workplace well-being program, which a lot of the times is
Mhm.
overlooked. Like
Yeah.
employers finally find the time to stand up a program and announce it and roll it out, and then it's like, okay, we're done. It's like, well,
Yep.
evidence actually says that like ongoing monitoring is important. And I think employers are leveraging data more now than they have historically. But a training like this is helpful because it gives you the templates, it tells you the different kinds of evaluation. You walk away with all the tools you need to just plug in your company's specific information and resources and then run with it. So,
Yeah. I think that's really important too, because not everybody is a workplace wellness expert, right? They're not a researcher in it, and they've maybe never dived into it before. But the work at health training helps the people who don't understand it as their expertise to be able to still implement it and make it important for their organization. And that's huge because no one can be an expert in everything, right? And so it helps lay the groundwork for them to be able to make those changes without being the expert, which is great.
absolutely. Yep.
Mhm.
Other resources that we've been connected to, or I say we, when I say we, I mean like BHC, I mean BHC members, I mean the
Yeah.
employer community have been connected to through MOCAN. More recently is the Food at Work program, because
Yeah.
we know that nutrition is a big part of employee health.
Mhm.
And obviously, MOCAN, Missouri Council of Activity and Nutrition, would,
That's
would
right.
understand the importance of that. There's
Mhm.
also like this big movement right now around food is medicine, food as medicine, two different programs. But
Yes.
either way, I think it signals a larger movement
Yeah.
towards making sure that employees understand how their food is specifically affecting them, among all the other things. So, can you share a little bit of insight on the Food at Work program? And then I can jump in with like what I learned on recent presentations.
Absolutely. And yeah, like I said before, we spend a lot of our life at work, and that means maybe some meals at work too. You always snack. We encourage eating throughout the day, right? As general healthy eating habits. And so, food at work is great because we partner with DHSS here in Missouri. They can help fund an assessment of your workplace, of the food and beverages that are offered throughout the day, throughout meetings and vendings and cafeterias, things like that, can put together a really nice report and then offer one-on-one advising for some implementation strategies. Because again, not everyone is an expert in nutrition, even if you are a wellness coordinator for a business. So this helps you have that one-on-one guidance and advising from an expert and help you actually implement some of those long-term strategies at work.
And I think that's so helpful, right? Because we talk about how much of someone's life that they spend at work. That part's obvious. What
Mhm.
I Which I guess is also obvious once you say it out loud, but what you fail to recognize when you just think about how much time you spend at work is that a person consumes anywhere between 30 to 50% of their daily calories at work. And so
Yeah.
if they're really busy and they haven't planned ahead accordingly and they don't have their healthy lunches, or there's not a refrigerator on site to store healthy lunches, you have to consume something. And then you end up
Mhm.
consuming largely out of convenience, which
Mhm.
is not always, or dare I even venture to say, usually the most healthy options.
Yeah, right? Because if you don't have the environment that supports it, what are you going to do? You're going to rely on processed foods, right? And everybody knows that processed foods are really detrimental to our health. They're okay in a pinch, but we don't need to make it common practice. And you're at work all the time. That's common practice. And that's what it can turn into if you don't have a good environment and work site, the system at your work site to really support that healthy eating at work.
Absolutely. And so that's a good example of a program that came to MOCAN first and said,
Mhm.
hey, we want to do this in partnership with employers. Where are the
Yep.
employers? And we're like, we know exactly where to find the employers. They're right
Yeah,
here. They're at BHC. So
exactly.
it's been really great to get to learn about Missouri's focus on this. And I forgive me if you already said this, Candace, but I just want to reiterate and emphasize that the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services is actively
Mhm.
looking for employers that want to take advantage of that program. And they have
Yes.
X amount of spots that they want to pilot with employers. And so if any of our employer members are interested, they should reach out to BHC so that we can help facilitate that introduction so that they can take advantage of this free opportunity. It limited
Mhm.
number of free opportunities, but at this point, a free
Yeah.
opportunity. So
Yeah, and it's important when, when we talk about piloting things, that kind of brings back my research brain is you have to practice, be a part of that first level practice because you're gonna get all the good stuff and they're gonna walk through things more specifically with you so they can build that evidence base later on, right? So get in now while you can, and then you're gonna see it grow and become even bigger later on, and you'll be kind of on the ground floor of all that, and that's a good spot to be in.
absolutely. I know we keep talking about workplace specific initiatives and programs, but I have another one that I want us to
Okay.
touch on. Uh, MOCAN has a Worksite Wellness Award. And
Yes.
I would love it if you could talk about why the award was created, what the award recognizes, and what kinds of organizations the award tends to celebrate. Because the BHC has an award as well, but I think
Mhm.
MOCAN's Worksite Wellness Award offers an additional opportunity for some of these employers that are doing exceptional work in the workplace wellness space to kind of brag on themselves. So please, if you
Yeah.
wouldn't mind jumping in.
Yeah, absolutely. So recognition goes a long way, right? And we know that some of these worksite wellness initiatives, especially the long term sustainable ones, take time, take energy and effort from the employees and the employer to really put these things together. And it makes a huge difference. And then sometimes that work is like, okay, cool, right? We did it and it's benefiting, but we also want to share with other people that it's possible, right? So it may seem daunting at first, it may seem like a big project and a lot of policy changes, but if we recognize the folks that have done it and done it successfully, other people will think, oh, I can do that too. So we created this award program at various levels. That way, more work sites have the opportunity to be recognized at different levels, even if it's just getting your foot in the door with changing some small policies, from the food that's offered at meetings to having a lactation area for nursing mothers and that's private, right? Not just going into the bathroom stall, or being able to provide an extra 15-minute break at the work sites where they can go and get some physical activity, whether that's inside through a nice little active room that you've set up or a walking path around the building, but supporting your employees with that extra time. You can qualify to be a recovery friendly workplace, right? And that is an extra qualifier for one of these awards. And that just means that you are supporting your employees in all these different ways. It's also a good way to show prospective employees that you value your employees. If you come to this workplace, you will be valued. We will help you with your wellness. We're not just going to say you can do it yourself. We're going to support you in it. We're going to change our policies so we're supporting you. And then it's also incentivizes these changes, right? So if you can be recognized, that's really cool. And then it gives you a little bit of motivation to go to the next level, right? And then get the next award. Beyond that, someone could come in, see the awards exist, and think, oh, I haven't done any of these things. These are good ideas, right? So at minimum, people can see the list of criteria and think, this is my goal list now, right? This is where I'm going to start. I'm going to start at the lowest level. I'm going to work through this list and make these changes in my workplace. Because like I said, not everyone is an expert. It's hard to come up with even ideas. Like, I don't know where to begin. So if you look at this list of awards and the criteria, good place to start, right? That's where you start. That's where you begin. We have a nice toolkit that walks you through it, through making changes in the workplace. And then we can help you with the recognition as well. So it's a really cool program that we've set up, and tons of different employers have gone through this, from smaller organizations to whole school districts to health departments. We have a lot of people that really take pride in what they're doing and want to share that. And so we recognize them publicly at our MOCAN Summit every year. They get to come in and talk to all of MOCAN and all the people that we invite to kind of brag about themselves and help answer questions from everybody else to see, hey, how can I do this? This is really cool. You did an amazing job. So it's really a good program all around.
Well, you already answered my next question, which was going to be like, what specifically does recognition look like? You answered that. You said that they get
Yeah.
recognized publicly at the MOCAN Summit, which is great.
Yeah, we also actually give them a bunch of window clings that they can put in all of their doorways and their offices, things like that. We give them a nice certificate to hang on the wall, and then we give them like a little digital signature badge that they can put in their workplace signatures to showcase to everyone the good work that they've done.
And for people who receive a MOCAN award or recognition, talk about the cycle for that award designation and reapplication, how employers might move up the ladder in terms of
Yeah.
award.
Yeah. So once you have won an award, say you win the bronze award, you're good for a few years, right? That gives you time for the next few years. So you're going to have maintain that standing. And then for the next few years, you can work towards the next level if you'd like. And so you'll always have your bronze level, and then you can apply later on to move up if you wish. And we can help you with that too. If you're like, oh, there's just something that I can't figure out how to implement here. There's intricacies between workplaces that we may need to tweak to make sure you qualify, but you have that time in the meantime to go to the next level and apply for that. And you don't have to, if you're moving up, we have all of your information from every level below that. And so you don't have to repeat yourself. We just want to know what you've done since your last award.
Perfect. And you mentioned a few years a couple of times. Specifically, is that 5? Is
It's
my
5
memory
years.
serving me
Yes.
correctly? Yep. Okay.
Yes. Yes. So you're good to go. And again, as long as nothing was taken away in that meantime, then you'll always have that standing. Yeah. It'll be pretty easy to get back.
Perfect. Well, what other things that you want to promote about MOCAN did I miss or not ask a question about already?
Yeah, I do think, at least for the Worksite Wellness Group, one of our key things, and you can find it online. I can send you a hard copy if you'd like, but we have this toolkit, the Workplace Wellness Toolkit, that can be your starting point. You open it up, page 1, and you go through the rest of it, and it's step-by-step actions to work on maintaining or increasing your wellness at your organization. And we give you tons of options, from policy changes and templates to do that, to environmental changes that you can make just around the workplace. We walk you through the assessment, which is, we use the CDC scorecard for that. And so you'll have access to kind of create an actual numerical score, which will point you in the direction of which areas your workplace needs some work, that you can expand on and increase for your employees. And a part of this is, like I said, that evidence-based part is key, because you take these things, this is what we need to do, and you go to your employees who it will be impacting. You give them shared governance over the decisions and say, of these things, what do you think you would benefit most from as an employee here? What would you like to see us change, right? We've done this assessment. We know what we could work on. Where should we start? And it gives employees that say in the matter, right? And that shared governance, and it shows that you really care what they think too. And then we show you how to work from there. We give you step-by-step implementation plans, how to set goals, how to maybe find funding. In some cases, the state offers a lot of funding every once in a while, and MOCAN people are usually in the know about what's going on as far as grants. And so we can also help you. Hey, we have this really cool grant for creating a lactation space in your office. So we can help you apply for that, or where to apply. So this toolkit is really great for walking you through it. And it's available, like I said, online. I can mail you a hard copy if you want. Just send me an email.
I can't emphasize enough how helpful all of those templates are. Like the
Mhm.
sample policies, the
Yes.
wellness committee agreement forms, the checklist, the implementation plans. Like these are all things that in everyone's day-to-day jobs, they don't have an extra couple of hours to set aside just to create the forms and able to do the thing.
Yep.
And so being able to go into the toolkit and just pull the templates, make the tweaks that need tweaking, and
Hmm.
then be able to run with it. It kind of reminds me of the work at health training in that way, but this is
Yeah.
about specifically about standing up your workplace wellness program. It just saves so much time. And
Yes.
why reinvent the wheel? Like it's already been
Yeah.
created. You're literally offering to deliver it to them on a silver platter.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and I see a real opportunity here for, I think about BHC member companies like the benefit directors who maybe don't have the budget or the resources for a dedicated well-being person, but they know how important well-being is and they're so
Yeah.
passionate about it. And they're frankly, Kaylee, I just don't have the time in the day.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily need it if you're pulling the resources that are already publicly available to you through resources like MoCan. So I'll
Mhm.
hop off my soapbox now, but it really is a great resource. And
Yeah, it
BHC
is.
actually partnered with MoCan in the creation of it years
Yeah.
ago. So among a
And we're
lot of
always
other really great partners.
And we love that our partners will come in and give us ways to make it better, right? We had Missouri's Department of Mental Health reach out to us not too long ago and say, "Hey, let's add some more about mental health. Let's make it interactive. Let's talk about it in a way that makes sense to employers, not just we all know that we need mental health, right? Let's make it specific." And so they came to us, we partnered with them and made it even better. We updated it. We've added the recovery friendly workplace portions to it, right? So it's always being updated. We keep it evolving to meet more needs, to meet what we think Missouri should be able to focus on. And you don't have to be the expert in the room to do that. You can just take this and run.
Exactly. So I know we touched on this a little bit at the beginning, but just one more time. If one of our employer listeners wants to get involved with MoCan or start using some of these resources, where's the best place for them to start? Or where should they go? Or who should they contact?
Yep. So mocan.org is the easiest place to start. It gives you an overview of what MoCan is, what it does, all the work groups. You may be interested in workplace wellness at a school. Join the schools and the workplace work groups, right? See which one fits best. And there's an easy right at the top of the page. It says join us. You can sign up to be a member for free. and you can represent your organization or represent yourself. Join those meetings when you can. They're just monthly, so it's not a heavy lift. And you can be a fly on the wall in the beginning. You can just listen and get ideas. A lot of times you'll find, oh, I can help with this, right? And you contribute to the conversation and to help make changes around Missouri. So mocan.org, good place to start. You'll find my contact information there too. Always feel free to reach out to me personally, and I'm happy to talk to you, walk you through some of the things, mail you a resource guide, or just work through some things via email or Zoom. I'm happy to chat anytime. This is, one of my favorite things and a big passion of mine. So I can talk about it all day long.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Candace. I know that MOCAN has played a huge role just in my own professional development during my time here at BHC. MOCAN has a very large mission and purpose here in Missouri. And so I am appreciative of what you all do. And I know many others share in that sentiment as well. So thank you again for joining us and for your time. And thank you all for listening to Be Health Connected, empowering healthy workforces one conversation at a time.
Thank you for listening to the Be Health Connected podcast. For additional episodes or to learn more about employer resources available through the Gateway Business Health Coalition, please visit www.gatewaybhc.org.